Return of the dang old king, man. Oh, wow. I'm getting a hug. Okay. Emotional.
Hey everyone, Rascal here.
And Mama, welcome to our channel, Paws On Animation.
And today we are covering the revival no one saw coming, King of the Hill.
I tell you what, after nearly 20 years since the show ended, Hulu decided to pick up and revive the show for a 14th season, showing Hank and Peggy Hill returning from Saudi Arabia, not how she pronounced it,
Right.
and are officially retired. But it's not only hard to adjust to retirement, they also have to adjust to how much Arlen and the world has changed. It's strange, I tell you what. But
before we start, be sure to like, comment, and click the notification bell to updates future podcasts and Pause videos.
And thank you so much for subscribing to our channels, sharing our videos, commenting. Everything you do, we appreciate you so much.
Yeah.
And if you haven't already, we did a very short video on the original King of the Hill series.
Yes.
That should be coming up sometime during this podcast. Check it out, especially if you've never watched King of the Hill.
Yes, absolutely.
So we were hesitant at first on even watching this because the first thing we said is they can't say or do the things they did previously on the series.
Yes.
And we weren't sure if it was even going to be worth watching or if we were going to enjoy it. And then you add to that, unfortunately, the passing of multiple cast members of the show,
Yes.
which was very bittersweet when you think
Yes.
about it. And we were really hesitant.
Right. And even more so, more happened within days of the release, which really made people nervous about how this was going to turn out. And this has 10 episodes, and Hulu/Disney has already announced that they renewed it for 15 seasons, so there are already more episodes coming. Mm-hmm. And from what we heard, is it was a solid revival, and it seemed to feel just like the old show. So it's like, okay, well, we're not seeing a bunch of negative things for it. It's not the worst thing you've ever seen, and destroying it. That's good. So let's see it. Mm-hmm. So we watched it. And immediately you can tell there is a difference in this series.
Absolutely. So first we want to give a shout out to the cast members who have passed. You had the voice actress for Luann.
Mm-hmm. And for Lucky as well.
That's Tom Petty,
mm-hmm.
who's a Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
And then you had what is
quite recent.
Brittany Murphy.
Oh,
I wanted
you.
to think of her name. Her name's Brittany Murphy, and she was in a lot of 90s and 2000s movies.
Yes.
And I remember when I first learned she was one doing Luann, I was just floored.
Yes.
Because it was a whole different voice out of her.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really sad when we learned of her passing. And I remember originally when she passed, she got sick, and I think it was during COVID.
I think so.
And then her husband passed like a week later.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh my gosh. And then as you mentioned, you had the passing of, unfortunately, the voice actor for Dale Gribble,
yes.
Johnny Hardwick.
Yes.
And the voice actor for John Redcorn, Jonathan Joss.
Right. And then on top of that, you also lost Chuck Mangione.
Yes.
Within a few days
Yeah.
of it releasing. So it became really concerning and actually really sad when you watch the first few episodes, because so many of these cast members are now gone.
And there are characters who already have been taken out, like Cotton Hill. And one we thought was gone wasn't, but we'll tell you more about that later.
Right.
Those of you not familiar with King of the Hill, except for maybe hearing it's a redneck show, which it isn't, or some negative things.
Right.
It is an American animated sitcom created by Mike Judge and Greg Daniels. And Mike Judge is still on the show voicing Hank, but he's no longer responsible for the script and the writing.
And only credit for creating the show.
Yes.
That's it.
The original show aired from January of 1997 to September of 2009, with 4 more episodes airing in syndication from May 3rd to May 6th in 2010.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this show was hugely popular. It's considered adult animation, comedy, drama, satire, slice of life. If you're not familiar with Mike Judge, before this, he was famous for the Beavis and Butthead series that aired on MTV.
Yes.
And yet again, when I heard him doing Hank Hill and learned that it was him, I was stunned.
Right.
And if you're not if you don't know, he also voiced Beavis and Butthead in the Beavis and Butthead
Right.
series as well.
And another one that also ended up coming back on Paramount of all things.
So, when we heard that they were getting a 14th season, we couldn't believe it.
Yeah, we didn't think the show was ever coming back. The most we heard is that it was supposed to get a movie at some point, but nothing really ever came of it since other animated sitcoms had gotten theatrical releases like The Simpsons and Bob's Burgers and some other ones.
Now, the great thing about this series is it definitely was well loved, not only by Texans, but just people all over America, and
Yes.
probably by now all over the world.
Yes.
And the reason it's so well loved is you had some really great comedy in the previous series, but you had family, you had Hank Hill, who was a man of morals and values and who loves America,
Yep.
and loves his wife, and loves Bobby in that order. And as Bobby said, the revival,
Yes.
sometimes the order of his mom switching with America, depending on his mood.
And don't forget propane and propane
Yes.
accessories.
So it was just a really great series. We own the first 6 seasons.
I think so.
And we haven't gotten the remainder because
It's ridiculous.
yeah, the prices got ridiculous on Amazon, and you couldn't get any more seasons from half price for half price.
Yeah.
But maybe at some point they'll release the entire series.
Yeah,
all in
collection.
one.
Yeah.
That would be great, and we would definitely buy that, and then probably sell or give away the other ones that we have.
Right.
So let's just hope that happens.
Right.
So as we said, we were hesitant about watching it, and we decided to go ahead and give it a try.
Yes.
So as we mentioned, it's no longer Mike Judge doing the writing.
Mm-hmm. It's different writers now, but he's still voicing Hank and a couple other characters.
Right.
And for here, there's also some plot holes immediately when the series starts, because it opens up with Hank and Peggy coming back on a plane to Arlen, and it says it's been 15 or so years since either they left or even since the original show aired.
So there's a huge time jump.
Right, and you can see that they're designed differently. They're now older. They even sound a little older in the beginning, and I think they adjusted, and now they sound like how they did originally. And when they come back to Arlen, they see so much has changed. They've got more use of the internet, and they have Uber drivers. Bobby's opened up a hibachi restaurant, and there's so much change in here. It's kind of like the Rocko's Modern Life special called Static Cling, where the characters had to adapt from the 90s to 2020s, and that was the new modern life. Hank and Peggy go through a similar thing. Hank more so has to adjust more than Peggy. She kind of adapts to this stuff pretty easily now. But you do see how some of the characters have changed, both physically and personality, and how some things that were there in the show before are no longer around, because there's a heck of a lot of characters missing in here still.
So we're going to tell you the things that worked and we did like, and then we'll get to the things that didn't work. First and foremost for me, I was so grateful they didn't make Bobby an idiot as an adult.
Yes.
I'm so glad he's well adjusted.
Yes.
And he's professional, and he opened his own place. And I love when they said, "Did you go to college?" He said, "No, I already knew what I wanted to do." And then he was proactive, and he did what he had to do and opened his restaurant.
Yes.
That was like the best thing that could have happened in this series.
Right.
We laughed at the things Bobby did and his silliness. And
Yes.
that boy ain't right. But it was so great to see him turn out so well.
Yes.
And another thing that was great is they were debating whether or not to recast Pamela Adlon, who did his voice in the original series, or to get someone else new since he's older. And Daniels and Patterson decided to go ahead and keep her, saying that we would rather hear her sound like she always did as Bobby without pitching or changing her performance. And
True.
They were absolutely right. We loved it.
You're right.
We were happy Peggy and Hank are still together.
Yes.
We were happy that Boomhauer, Dale, and
Bill,
and Hank are all still friends after all this time passing.
Yes.
They went back to the same neighborhood. They had someone else living there who took his place, who Rascal actually remembered from the previous series being a character on there.
Yes. Originally they had a character voiced by Bernie Mac who fixed the water heater, and Hank kind of, he got along with him eventually, but he was slightly not antagonistic, but he was off put by him because Hank always fixed everything, and he was worried someone would come in and mess up what he fixed and don't know what they're doing. And Lady Bird kept attacking the water heater guy, and Hank was accused of being bigoted because the dog kept attacking him. And you find out she just didn't like. She had the sense the vibrations that he didn't like anybody messing with the water heater, so she attacked anybody that did it because if he didn't like it, then she didn't like it.
His name was Brian Robertson.
Yes,
and Keith David took over voicing him since, of course, Bernie Mac passed sometime ago.
Right, and he got a bit of a different design layer, I guess, so you know that he is aged.
Okay, we also love that it was so hilarious. Bill, when they got there, you thought Bill was actually going to be one of my 600-pound lives because they had him in the bed. And we were like, oh my gosh, what the heck, Bill? You really let yourself go more than usual. And then it was just an illusion because he got up and was like, oh,
he's just lazier.
And they fooled the audience like, hey, you thought he got to his lowest. He didn't yet.
Right.
Keep watching.
Nope. Right now his lowest is that he finished Netflix. And we don't mean like he finished parts of it. He watched every single thing on Netflix since they left. He finished the collection, the entire collection Netflix had, and he won a wellness check from Netflix because he binged everything they had. And he said, you know they give you a wellness check for finishing Netflix? I didn't know you could do that.
Ming and Khan are still the neighbors there.
Yes. And you still have Dale and Nancy.
Yes. And the biggest surprise is that Mr. Strickland is still alive.
Yes, we thought he was going to be gone because of all
how he lived.
Yeah, and all his bypasses and everything. Somehow he was alive.
And he was on a treadmill like Ponyhead. I thought it was hilarious.
Yes.
And he actually has lost weight, and we were stunned. Now, he's still
scheming.
Yes, he's still scheming and can be rotten at times, and they referred to that in one episode.
Yeah.
But it was a surprise to see him alive, and it was good, actually, that he's still alive.
Yes.
So those things worked. For a while, it worked for us that they were referencing other episodes that we were familiar with.
They do.
For a while, it worked. But then we'll tell you later what happened with that for us.
Okay.
And for almost the entire cast, they returned. We told you the ones that have passed that couldn't return. Mm-hmm. They also replaced Breckenmeyer as Joseph Gribble.
Yeah.
He was voiced by Ty LeClaire. And Kenneth Che and Ki-Hong Lee voiced Ted and Chang Wasana-song. Mm-hmm. And Adlon was actually voicing Chang. They didn't do that.
Okay.
And someone else was voicing Ted, and they replaced him as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
It sounded to me like I told you, someone else didn't sound the same. Do you remember?
Khan had a completely different voice actor, and it's never explained, not within the show, but they never tell you why they had to change it. It's weird. Yeah, you can tell if you listen hard enough that some of the people are changed. The ones who did return kind of get back into the groove of being the characters, and after a while, they sound like themselves.
So what I learned is that Greg Daniels later, earlier in November 2023, in an interview, said he wasn't sure whether the voice actor for Khan or the character would return, but clarified that the role would be recast if so. Mm-hmm. And noting that the casting of Huss was because they didn't have the budget to hire a special performer for each voice.
Yeah.
So Ronnie Chang was later revealed to be the new voice of Khan. And what was hilarious is, immediately I'm like, that's not Khan.
Yeah.
That's not Khan.
And this actually does come up, not the voice acting part, but they still have life issues that they tackle in the 10 episodes. That still remains. However, much like we've seen with Khan and others, they handled it a bit differently. Now, we'll clarify, it's nowhere near as bad as other reboots where it's just mind-numbingly horrible.
Absolutely.
But you can tell that it's structured differently and there's not as much humor.
And the last thing we do love is that Hank is still Hank. Mm-hmm. He still loves those things in that order.
Yes.
And Peggy has kind of mellowed
a little
bit,
which
we were surprised. She still thinks she's the expert on everything, but she's mellowed.
In her personal opinion, she believes she's an expert.
So that's what worked for us. Now, there were a few things that didn't, and one thing we're going to get to, as we mentioned, is how they kept referencing previous episodes.
Every
single
single
episode.
And
it's like, could you not come up with some new original content?
And I couldn't
you
help
had
it.
to keep ripping off from my judge? Seriously?
And I couldn't help but
But
notice
you're not
it.
going to let him right now.
Right. And I kept laughing because I kept finding the episodes. And Mama kept finding the episode. This is this episode. It's that episode. This episode. And majority of the episodes were kind of like continuations or shout outs to old ones. And I think they were thinking they have 13 seasons worth of material. Of course, the audience is going to want to catch all of it and doing the Disney thing. Easter egg, Easter egg, Easter egg, Easter egg.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's part of why people loved it. Usually when they're reminded of the thing they love, you don't pay attention to much else. They're just thinking, oh man, it's like the old one because of all these Easter eggs. No, they specifically referenced their best episode. They even referenced, that's my purse, but in a very odd way. And every single episode was relying on a past one for its storyline or for a reference to know off the top of your head where it's from.
And that was a problem for us because we were expecting new content. It worked again within the first few episodes until we learned that this was going to be the pattern, and then we weren't so happy.
Yeah.
The second thing that didn't work for us is the depiction of Connie. Connie, when she was younger, was intelligent. Yeah, she had some issues because of her dad and mom, of course. But she was intelligent. She really liked Bobby.
Mm-hmm.
And you expected her, with all of the time and money they put into her, to turn out differently. Well, I guess they said, we won't do that to Bobby, we'll do it to Connie. Mm-hmm. And Connie is nothing like you expected her to be. And I think that was a slap in the face to the character.
Yeah, and
we did not care for that, and we'll stop there.
Yeah, we were shocked.
Another thing is, for some reason, Boomhauer doesn't speak much.
No, he's really now depicted as the quiet
He's almost like
one.
a side character.
Yeah, and we get there at times Boomhauer didn't talk, he would just say, yo.
But the majority of the time,
he would always go on and on, talking about, you know, Dango's going on and on about something. You don't even know what he's talking about because he's talking about Dango, this and that, and this and the other, and you got to keep up with him, and you just never know because he's all Dango talking all the time.
But not anymore. And maybe he's mellow too, like Peggy. That could be it. So if that's the case, we'll give that a pass.
Yeah.
There were some problems per episode that we noticed that could have done better. And one of them was bringing into the series modern day reality. And what you loved about the original series is, you know, it's supposed to be like modern day.
Yes.
And you know it's supposed to take place in our world in a fictional Arlen.
Yes.
But they did not harp on things that were negative.
That's true.
And if there was a topic that was negative, they found a way to put a spin on it that was not only educational for the audience, eye-opening, but entertaining, and had a great ending in a way that it was resolved.
Yes.
But they didn't do that here.
No, it's just, it's played completely straight. And another issue with that, on top of those lessons or the issues they're tackling, there is very little humor to it. Or if there is humor, it's meant for a newer audience's humor. And a lot of newer audiences like really random and strange and TikTok style humor. If you know it and you love it, you know what it is. That's the type of humor they're trying to fit into King of the Hill. And when they're tackling all these issues, they're almost acting like majority of the time the people who are the problem are in the right. Now, it's not all the time. They do call them out when it's an issue. But you see enough of it and everything else telling the audience they're bad for this, that, and the other. Mm-hmm. And they do this in the show, too, to the point where even Bobby was getting in trouble for just wanting to have a dream to have his restaurant, and told him he couldn't because he wasn't Japanese. And it told him, well, he's going to have to shut down his restaurant. He can't do fusion because he's not Japanese. And episodes like this kept popping up where it'd be something the characters enjoy, but then something comes along and it's now a social issue. And again, the old show did do this. They did tackle these things, and they had it where characters were adapting to different changes coming in the world. And they even tackle issues of LGBTQ and different things. But the problem is that the show doesn't use humor with the lesson. It's just straight up, this person's bad, this person's doing the wrong thing, this person is in the wrong, and Hank and the others have to tell them what it means to be right. They even had a whole episode where they were making fun of Andrew Tate for the videos they have online for the alpha male boot camp and making fun of toxic masculinity, and Hank had to tell them none of them were real men. And it was just like, it wasn't even funny.
No.
Nothing was really funny about any of these things. They were just kind of telling them, well, Hank's the good one. Here, everyone else is the problem. And it's like, this is the opposite of what you want.
So we'll go through the titles of the episodes, but the biggest problem I've noticed is that except for 2 episodes, number 2 and number 3, written by Norm Hiscock, the third one he wrote with Anthony Del Brocolo.
Mm-hmm.
The first episode was written by Mike Judge and Greg Daniels and Saladin K. Patterson. Every single episode was written by someone else. And I think that right there is the problem with this series.
Yeah, you can tell.
Too many writers spoiled it.
And especially when you weren't laughing much. The humor was one of the best things about it, is that even though slice of life, they had some bizarre things going on like The Simpsons. And then a lot of the times, if they weren't doing outrageous things, it was the dialogue. The dialogue was so well written, you laughed at the things they would say to each other or comments, and it takes you a minute to realize what they're saying.
So, let's go through the episode titles. Number 1, Return of the King. Number 2, The Beer Story. Number 3, Bobby Gets Grilled. Number 4, Chore Money, Chore Problems. Number 5, New Ref in Town. Number 6, Peggy's Fade Out. Number 7, Any Given Hill Day. Number 8, Conscious Coupling, K-A-H-N. Number 9, No Hank Left Behind. And number 10, A Sounder Investment. That's another thing I want to bring up. 2 more things, actually, before we get into the cast and wrap this up.
Yeah.
It was horrible to learn that Khan and Ming were divorced.
Yeah.
And the way they did it by
living
pretending they
together.
were still married,
Yeah.
lying to their daughter that they were still married. And it's like, why would they go through all this? This didn't make any sense.
Yeah, I guess they wanted to have at least one divorced couple in this show now.
Yeah, I guess so.
To make it realistic. There's always one that's a divorce. They already have Bill B single, so they had them divorce.
And another thing that was, 2 things that we forgot to mention that were good. Bobby and Joseph are roommates.
And they're
love
still
it.
best friends.
Absolutely love it. Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely love it. And I love that in episode 9, No Hank Left Behind, Hank actually does that, what is it called? That retreat with that weirdo you were talking about.
Yeah.
With good Hank or his younger brother.
Yes, they have
So
him
he saw
in
that he's
and
grown.
Junichiro. Yep.
And by the end of the episode, he tries to hug Hank. They get along, and we did like that.
Yes.
And now he's spending time with his little brother, and he even called Hank Big Brother. He says, "Oh, Hank is fine," and we were like, "Okay, that was really good. We like that they did that.
Yes.
That was a good thing."
Yes.
But the other thing that didn't work is, for us, John Redcorn did not have any development in all the years that the show was off in the time skip.
Yeah. Which was, I mean, we know how he was in the show. And yes, he was in the wrong a lot for his actions, especially what he and Nancy were doing for years until it finally stopped. And he was still doing what other wives we understood.
There would be some growth.
Yeah. You don't know what he's doing. He looks like he let himself go a bit in here. And you don't even know if he's still doing the same job that he did before. And he retired too, or what. You never really know
at all. Yeah. So, quickly. Viewership, they're saying there were 4.4 million views worldwide, becoming the most viewed adult animation season premiere on Hulu and Disney Plus in 5 years. Well, guys, that's not good.
No.
And let's explain why. They averaged in the double digits every episode. Even when the show went down and viewership lowered, they were still averaging 7 to 8 million viewers per episode per week. 4.4 is nothing. And they're trying to make it sound like it was something great. It wasn't. That means the majority of people that watch this show have either passed, moved on from the show, or didn't want to take a chance on it being a pile of garbage.
Yeah.
We're happy it wasn't, but a lot of people probably decided, I'm not even going to take a chance. But the number one reason is that it's exclusive on Hulu. So all the people who don't have Hulu but would have watched it on Fox can't see it. And that was the biggest, dumbest move that Disney ever made.
Why not air it on TV? And my final issue I had is that they came back and no mention of Luann or Lucky or their baby. They are never mentioned. They seemingly don't even live in the neighborhood anymore. It's like they don't exist, and there's no mention of them, period, to avoid talking about them altogether.
Which was tasteless.
And then Lady Bird, you knew, was gone because she was already 13 at the time of the show. But no mention of her either, which was really bad because Hank loved that dog so much and spoiled her. The fact that there was no mention of her, of even him being sad that she's still gone, was weird too. The characters that were gone, or the ones that they had gone for the voice actors, they just ignored. Mm-hmm. And the one character that was gone, Cotton, they brought him back up to show him how much of a toxic man he was, and they didn't need to because he was gone.
True. So we do want to give a shout out before we get to the rest of the cast to Toby Huss, who replaced Dell after the 6th episode. Mm-hmm. He's almost imperceptible in difference. He sounds almost exactly like Dale Gribble.
Yes.
So they did get someone to replace him that has done a fantastic job. So we had the return, as we mentioned, of Mike Judge, who voiced both Hank and Boomhauer. Mm-hmm. Kathy Najimy is Peggy Hill. Stephen Root is Bill Dauterive. As we mentioned, Pamela Adlon is Bobby Hill. Johnny Hardwick is Dale Gribble, episodes 1 through 6. And Lauren Tom is both Connie and Ming now, respectively. So the voice actors for Ming did not return.
Yep.
We don't know why. And as we mentioned, John Redcorn's voice actor returned, but he will not be returning the 2nd season because of things that happened offline to him.
Yes.
Unfortunately, Jonathan Joss.
Yes.
And as we mentioned, there will be no Chuck Mangione either.
Right.
We did mention Keith David voices Robertson.
Yes.
So Rotten Tomatoes, who's still rotten, rated 98%. Well, sorry, we think they were paid off.
Yeah, it's a little too high, unfortunately. It's not terrible, but it's too high.
And what I would say, we probably would give it maybe just a B.
Yeah.
Not a minus. We give it a B.
Yeah.
Because one of the greatest things is the cast that did return, we were so happy they were back. And now they're working again for ones who weren't getting work. That's fantastic. Mm-hmm. And it was like visiting family again, because if you watch King of the Hill like we did, King of the Hill is family.
Yes.
I watched it before Rascal was born, because it came out in 97. And after she started watching it and loving it, she probably has watched every episode a billion times, way more than I ever did. I've joined her sometimes, but this is one of her favorite shows of all time.
Yes. It's like how, how people really love The Simpsons and can rewatch it and binge it. We watch King of the Hill over and over and over.
So, for us, King of the Hill is family. Mm-hmm. And it was like visiting with family again. We're happy to see our family. We're glad of the ones who are still here. And yeah, we're going to end up watching season 15.
Of course.
Because they're family.
Yes.
I tell you what.
Yeah.
So, if you watch the King of the Hill revival or season 14, whichever you want to refer to it as, let us know in the comments. Did you love it? How did you think it fared? Were you an original fan of the series? Did you watch seasons 1 through 13 like we did? Mm-hmm. Do you still continue to watch them in reruns? We know you do, Playmaker. So let us know what you think. And if you haven't seen it, unfortunately, it's available exclusively on Hulu.
Now, yeah.
So if you have Hulu and you just want to check it out, go ahead. But we do recommend you watch the original series. And if you don't want to do that, we recommend you watch our video talking about the original series.
Yes.
So you kind of have an idea of what you're walking into. Come back and tell us what you think.
And if you haven't already, discover updates, weekly videos for anime series, anime shows, and all things animation.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us today. Subscribing, sharing our videos, commenting, everything you do, guys. As always, you are special.
Thank you so much for watching Rask Entertainment.
And I'm Mom Entertainment.
Have a fantastic day.
Peace.
In my dreams, she was my queen. A castle in the mountaintops.